this is awkward. What's up, YouTube? How's it going? I'm Ravenhawk6910, and this is my first blog video I've done in a good while, probably since February of this year, and it's also probably the first time I've been in front of the camera since 2012, so I'm still fat, I got a bigger goatee, I'm still wearing glasses, and welcome to the train room. So, as a lot of you guys know, I've been meaning to post a video for quite a while, but I really just haven't had time because I've had work and life and stuff getting in the way. And another problem is that I just really haven't had that much to post. Ever since I switched over to O-scale, I've had a few issues crop up. Number one is that my transformer died. Up until recently, I've been using one of these transformers right here. This is a Lionel CW80, and while it did serve me well, I think one of the biggest problems I had with it is the fans inside of these are notorious for burning up quickly. So it died on me, and I just haven't had the money to get a new transformer yet. My goal is to eventually get an MTH Z4000 to replace it, but at this point that's just not going to happen right now. I'm saving up for it. I've got a lot of things going on with the layout itself, as well as some future plans down the road, which I haven't exactly talked about yet. And I may not at this point, so shh. So in order to not be delaying the blog series too much, I decided to go ahead and put this video up, showing off some of the pieces of rolling stock that I have picked up over the past 3 months, I think, since the last blog video. That sounds about right. So I'm going to show off those pieces. I'm also going to show you my TMCC set that I got recently, as well as just some of the things and some of the plans that I have for this new O-scale layout. So, without any further ado, let's get started. That's better. I'm back behind the camera. So, the first thing I want to show you guys here is my Lionel Trainmaster command set. I picked this up a few weeks ago, and unfortunately, ironically enough, the same day I picked this up, my transformer died. So I had a command control system, but no way to use it. But I picked this up new in the box, amazingly, considering that Lionel does not make TMCC anymore. They still license out TMCC products for companies like Atlas and Weaver to use for some of their engines, but as far as the command control system, they've pretty much moved on to the legacy system. But I'll open this up here and show you quickly. There we go. Move some of these out of the way. So included in this set is the TMCC command base and the Cab 1 remote. So real basic, but for my needs it'll actually work out quite well. I'll be using these to control my Lionel engines, and my plan is to eventually upgrade a couple of my other engines to TMCC. For instance, the Weaver models, Delaware and Hudson Sharknose diesels. Those are conventionally controlled at the moment and don't have any form of command control in them. So my plan is to eventually put DC commander boards in them from the Electric Railroad Company, and that will add TMCC to them so I can operate them with the remote. But for the time being, right now I just have my UP SD70M and a couple of others. Now some of you may be wondering why I may have bought a TMCC system instead of going ahead and spending the extra money and getting the more updated legacy system. Well, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, it was cheap and I could afford it. But the second thing is that I'm also planning on getting MTH's DCS system, and there's a cable that you can connect the command base over to the MTH TIU, and that will allow you to control your Lionel engines with the DCS remote. So eventually when I get DCS, I'll be doing that. Okay, now that I've talked about the TMCC system, I'm going to show off the rolling stock that I've picked up recently. The first one I want to show you is really, really neat. This is an Atlas O former California Zephyr sleeping car, and it's an Amtrak Phase 1 paint. It's the car number 4806, and it's called the Silver Lark. Now, Atlas has been doing the California Zephyr series cars for quite a while, but they haven't added any cars to the series lately until this year. So the first cars to come out were the Sleepers and the Dome cars. And this is from the more recent run, as you can see. And I also liked it so much that I decided to pick up another car. So I picked up this car here. This car is the Silver Surf, and it's a Western Pacific car and still in the original California Zephyr scheme, which I really like. Now, some of you guys may be wondering, why would I pick up two separate cars in two separate paint schemes? The reason for that is because eventually my plan is to make a Amtrak 1973 rendition of the Empire Builder. I have a Pintrex tape, which is early Amtrak across Wisconsin, which if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's really a neat video. And in that time period, Amtrak paint was a little sparse. They really didn't start applying Amtrak colors until '73. And so the first consists were mixed of heritage cars and locomotives, which were called rainbow trains. And so my eventual plan is to make the Empire Builder using cars from a combination of Atlas, Lionel, and MTH. Now, in the MTH corner, in terms of passenger cars, we have these two. This is a pair of MTH Premier Line Union Pacific passenger cars. Here I have a baggage car and a coach. These will probably also be thrown into the Empire Builder set eventually, because the Milwaukee Road had passenger cars that were used in that service that were in this paint scheme. However, the eventual plan for these is to get the Union Pacific Steam Fleet train, and so these two cars will be cars for that train. And eventually I'd like to get, obviously, either the 844, the Challenger, or the more recently added Union Pacific Big Boy number 4014. But we'll just have to see what time and money allows. But I did get these two cars for a pretty nice deal, and these are typical MTH cars, which for those of you that know what these are in terms of the quality, it means that they are very good quality and very well made. As far as the MTH cars go, they do have opening doors, unlike the Atlas car. So here on the baggage car, what you do is you push in and slide the doors back. And there's nothing really to see in there, but that's okay. That's pretty sparse anyways, considering that it's a baggage car. And then to put it back in place, you just pull it out and it snaps right back into place. The coach also has opening doors on the sides here. In the vestibule areas, you just push back and it opens up, and it is spring-loaded, so it will snap back shut. Also on these cars, there are interior lights. If you look inside, there's detailed interiors. There's actually some passenger figures sitting in there, and the lights actually come on. Now, these cars have incandescent lighting, and eventually my plan is to upgrade those to LEDs just to bring the amps down. But again, that's further on down the road. Nothing really major right now. That takes care of the passenger cars. Those are really the only four I have. Now let's move on to some other pieces of rolling stock, and eventually I'll move on to some new freight cars and locomotives that have come in. But in the meantime, this is an MTH Premier Line Jordan spreader for the Baltimore and Ohio, and this is pretty cool. I got the inspiration to get this after watching a video, and again, another Pintrex tape. It's Union Pacific's Feather River Rotary, and in that video it shows the Union Pacific Rotary Snowplow 900-080 on the Feather River Canyon during a snowstorm in 1992, I believe. Might have been 3. Don't remember for sure. But they also showed Jordan spreaders in here. And this is one I found on eBay, and it's really, really nice. Not the most detailed car, but it's still pretty nice. It has lights on the outside. This little plate on the front can be removed for a dummy O-gauge coupler, so if you wanted to put it in a consist. It also has wings that open up on the side, like that. So it looks like you can actually plow the snow. So this was a pretty cool car, and I would recommend it if you wanted some pieces of snow fighting equipment. Ideally, I would want a rotary, but rotaries in O-scale are fairly sparse. I haven't found one yet that's completely to scale. If anybody knows of one, please let me know. Shifting gears a little bit over to the pre-war side of things, this is a Lionel number 3659 dump car that I picked up, and this car is in pretty nice shape considering its age. It still works. I don't have a track that I can use it with right now, but eventually I will be using it, and it makes a nice little addition to my tin plate train, which is actually growing quite a bit. I still have my 1668E, this car, then my Sunoco tank car, and my caboose. So it's actually growing pretty nicely, and I really like this car. And what's even better is this car still had its original box with it. So that's a bonus, especially for a pre-war train. Alright, now we get into the big things. So first up, This is a Lionel Uni-Pacific AC6000CW that I picked up recently in a trade with my friend Samantha Watson. So big thanks to Sam for trading me this thing. Now, this thing is not powered, it's a dummy. However, it's a little bit nicer than your typical non-powered engine. It's got working lights, it's got Rule 17 lighting, and it has a working smoke unit. And the smoke unit changes the output of the smoke depending on how fast the engine's going. So it's really, really nice. And I've always wanted one of the AC6000s from Lionel, so this was a kind of good way to get my foot in the door with one of these engines. And I like it so much, I'm going to try to pick up one of the legacy powered engines, be it one of the UP ones to match this, or I might even go for one of the fantasy ones. I know that Lionel made a CSX Heritage series out of these, and I've seen several of them and they look really nice, so that one may be on the possibility for a new engine to get eventually. So, but this engine is really, really nice. It's good and heavy, and the only problem I really had with it is, if you notice right here, the front coupler is missing. It unfortunately got damaged in transit, and I'm eventually going to have to put a new electro coupler on the front of it. But eventually that will happen, and it's not a big deal to me, because these things have really nice ways that you can remove the trucks. You just turn it to 90 degrees and it pops right off, and just remove a couple of plugs and it allows you to easily service the truck. So eventually I'll get a new coupler put on this thing and it'll be good to go. So let me move this down just a little bit here. The other engine that I've picked up was not originally a non-powered engine, but that's how it worked out. The second engine is this MTH Protosound 1 SD60M. Now, this one is really nice. It's a CSX unit, and it did have Protosound 1 originally when I got it, but I couldn't get it to work. I tried several ways to fix it, so eventually I got tired of it and just stripped the electronics out, stripped the motors out, and made it a non-powered engine. But that's okay. It's not really a big loss, and eventually I'm going to weather this thing. I'm in the process of blackening out the grills, as you can see, and I may send this off to my friend Roland Smith to get it weathered properly, just to get it looking a little bit more realistic. I'm going to have him probably paint the roof white to have it correct for CSX units, and once that's done it'll be pretty nice considering the age of the thing. But that's pretty much it in terms of locomotives. There really hasn't been too much else in terms of power to come in. Now let's move on to some freight cars. The first piece, and probably the smallest, is this Duluth Mesabi and Iron Range iron ore car. This is an MTH Premier Line car, and these are actually fairly hard to find in O-scale. For as far as I know, MTH only did one run of these things, and they're very sparse to find in this scheme. But I've always been a fan of the Mesabi. As some of you may recall, back when I did HO, I had a DM&IR SD45T-2 from Athearn, and eventually I'd like to get another one of those in O-scale to go with this. MTH also makes a Mesabi Yellowstone steam locomotive, and if you look on the link right here that's popping up in the screen, you can check out a review of that engine and the rolling stock that came with that set from Eric's Trains. Really nice set, and eventually I may pick one of those up myself. But let's move on now. The next piece of rolling stock is an MTH Rail King item, and it is this High Cube Norfolk Southern boxcar. Now, there's nothing really special about this car, but this was a birthday present from my mom, and I really do appreciate it. And it really will be helpful in terms of my Norfolk Southern Heritage Fleet boxcars. As some of you guys know, I started getting the MTH Heritage boxcars in the Rail King size for my layout when I first got started with O-scale. And I'd like to get all of the Heritage cars, and this one will be really nice because I'll have a solid black NS representation for that set. So moving on to something new, but not necessarily new news per se for the layout. You may recall in one blog video I picked up one of these Atlas O inaugural cylindrical hoppers. Well, I went to the train show at the Cobb Galleria this year and found two of these Atlas cylindrical hoppers, one of them being the inaugural hopper. And unlike the one I originally found on eBay, this one was new in the box. Still had the label from the store that it was given to initially. So I couldn't pass it up, and it was a good price, so I picked it up. And I also picked up from the same dealer this Atlas O chassis system cylindrical hopper. And again, same details. There's a few things different from this one. This one has only 5 hatches on the top. The Atlas O one has 6. And this one's got 2, 4, 6 chutes on the bottom. The Atlas O one only has 3. But they're both made by the same company, very highly detailed for the time. And like I said originally, considering that both of these cars were made in the 90s, really kind of shows the details that Atlas strives for. And while we're on the subject of Atlas, I'm going to move down to this next car. This is rather neat. This is an Atlas 60-foot auto parts box car that ironically is the Atlas 50th anniversary box car. It came out a year after the inaugural Atlas O hopper came out, and it's actually two-sided. On this side it says celebrating 50 years of worldwide leadership in model railroading and has the Atlas 50th anniversary logo on it. However, if we flip the car around, we can see a timeline on this side of Atlas's entire existence. And it shows here in 1924 the company was started as the Atlas Tool Company. Then in 1949 the Atlas Tool Company was reorganized and included model railroad equipment. In 1987 Atlas Model Railroad Company Incorporated was started, and in 1997 Atlas O LLC was started. And that's pretty much the entire timeline of Atlas at that point. So this is a really nice car. My friend Dakota Blackwolf sold me this car for $25, so I really do appreciate it. Big shout out to Dakota. Thanks a lot for selling me this thing, man. I really appreciate it. Now, getting back into the MTH corner, we have an MTH flat car with a 48-foot truck trailer on it. But this one's a little bit of an oddball, but still really neat. This is the Norfolk & Western Spirit of 76 bicentennial trailer. Now, this is a real trailer. It's actually still around today. It's at the Virginia Museum of Transportation in Roanoke, and I'll include a photo of it right now. So this truck trailer is still in existence. The flat car, I think, is long gone, but the trailer is real, and if you notice, it's painted in the exact same paint scheme of the Norfolk & Western's bicentennial SD45, number 1776. So, seeing as I've seen this truck trailer in real life, I decided I had to pick it up when I found it, and I did, and it's really, really nice, and it's kind of making me want to get more of the bicentennial N&W pieces of rolling stock in O-scale. I know MTH made the SD45, and they also made the coal hopper, and there is a caboose out there that they made. It's a former Wabash caboose. However, I'm not sure of anyone in O-scale who makes it. If anybody knows, please let me know, because I would like to get a full set of this. Now we move on to the largest car in the batch. This is something that I've been wanting to get for a while, ever since I started doing O-scale. This is one of the Lionel 89-foot auto racks. And this is the Santa Fe rendition, and as you can see, this thing is big. At the angle I'm sitting at, I can't even fit this whole thing into the camera, so I'm going to move the camera a little bit to a handheld angle to show you the whole car. And there we go. There's a whole view of the Lionel 89-foot Santa Fe auto rack. And it is big. And I didn't actually think I was going to be able to run it, because in the catalog it says that the minimum recommended curve for this thing is 054, and currently I only have 048, but amazingly it will get around those 048 curves. So I was really happy to pick one of these up. I've wanted to get one of these cars ever since I saw Eric Siegel's review of the Lionel Motor City Express set. That featured a CSX SD80 Mac and 4 of these auto racks. So if you want to see that review, check out the link that's popping up in the screen right now, and you can go directly to Eric's channel and watch that review. But these are the first full-scale auto racks that have ever been offered in O-scale. MTH also makes auto racks in their Premier line, but they are not fully to scale. They claim to be, but the proportions are way off, and you can tell a difference. There's about a 2-inch lengthwise difference in this between that car and this car here. But these are really nice. The detail on it is pretty good, considering most of it's molded in, but by far the coolest feature are these operating doors here on the back. You just pull these back, and the doors open up to reveal a double-deck track in there, and you can actually load O-scale vehicles into this. Now, at this point, Lionel had said that they were planning on making a set of vehicles to fit inside of these. I don't know if they ever got around to that or not, but they do make O-scale vehicles that will fit inside of these cars. I say they, other companies. But there you go. This car is pretty nice. And I'm eventually planning to get a whole lot more of these cars because I'm such a big fan of them. I've always liked auto racks. They've probably been my second favorite car in terms of real life. So I'm probably going to get a whole unit train of these cars before it's all said and done with. So there you go, guys. That really takes care of everything that's come in the past month or so. Or 3. And I want to say something. I really want to say thanks to everyone out there for supporting my switch over to O-scale. And I really thought I was going to lose subscribers, but my subscriber base actually went up because of it. As a matter of fact, I crossed 200 subscribers in the time that I switched from O-scale to HO, and I'm currently sitting at 213 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for supporting me and my channel throughout the years. I think it's been almost 6 years now that I first started my YouTube channel, and look how far I've come in that time period. Yeah, I don't have several thousands of subscribers, but that doesn't mean anything to me. Just having that, 200 people are interested, that really means a lot to me. So thank you guys so much for supporting my channel throughout the years and supporting my blog series and really just being there for me. I really appreciate it because stuff like this, there are tons of model train channels out there, and you guys watch mine as well as for my rail fanning videos, so that really means the world to me. So again, you guys rock, so thanks so much. Now, as for the blog series itself, I'm going to be taking a bit of a break from it. I'm not going to be doing it on a month-to-month basis as I have been. The blog series is still going to continue, but they're more going to be in a numerical sense. And the reason for that is because I really just don't want to waste your time and my time shooting a blog video every single month when there really hasn't been much going on that's even worth reporting. Now, this month I made an exception because I had a bunch of new pieces of rolling stock that came in and a couple new engines. But other than that, there really was nothing else to say because I still don't have a transformer, and I'm working on that right now. And the scenery hasn't started and the track layout isn't finished yet. So until that's finished, there's really not going to be a whole lot more to talk about at this point. So be on the lookout for more blog videos, but expect them at a slower pace than what they have been for the past year. Because I still have, this is the main line right here. These two pieces of rolling stock right here are sitting on the, what is to be the 2 yard tracks, which will basically be storage tracks. And once those are in place, then I can start working on scenery and buildings and what have you. But the main thing is that I have to get that Z4000 in so that I can start operating the trains again. And once that's done, I will be able to do that, and I will be shooting a video on it. You'll see a whole bunch of stuff in that video, and I'm really looking forward to it once that happens. Now, as for other plans that I had mentioned earlier, I really wanted to go see Norfolk and Western 611 operate this July, but that's just not going to happen. Now, next summer, that may change, and I may be able to ride behind the 611 or chase it, one of the two. But this October, I will be either riding behind or chasing Southern Railway 4501, as it's doing an Atlanta, Georgia to Toccoa, Georgia trip right down the Norfolk Southern Greenville district, right through my neck of the woods. So I will be doing a video of that. I'll be doing coverage of that, whether I chase it or ride it. And you guys can definitely be on the lookout for that. And I'm hopefully going to be getting a new camera soon, so that way I won't have to be rail fanning with this camera. The biggest problem I have with this camera in terms of train watching, yeah, it's fantastic for photos, and that's the main reason why I don't do a whole lot of videos with it. But also the biggest issue is that whenever a train goes by, it distorts the speaker horribly. So I'm looking at getting a new camera that I can use that's the same quality as this, and it won't distort the speaker. So as soon as that happens, you'll be seeing a lot more rail fanning videos from me. Also, in terms of future plans, I am making plans to go back to Southern California in a few years, because the main reason, my cousin David wants to chase the Union Pacific 4014 down Cajon Pass once it comes out of the shop. So that hopefully will happen within the next few years. I'm probably going to go back to California sooner than that because I just want to go back. I want to see my family out there. I want to train watch out there some more. And let's face it, I need to get out of Georgia, period. So hopefully I'll be doing that. What I would really like to do, ideally, is to take Amtrak, but I'll probably just be flying either Delta or Southwest out there. So we'll just see what happens and just be on the lookout for that as well. But like I said, guys, thank you so much for subscribing and watching my videos and whatever. I don't really like to get into the whole mushy stuff about thanking subscribers, but let's face it, without you guys, I wouldn't have the motivation to do this. So be on the lookout for the next blog series video. Hopefully I will have that Z4000 in by then. But until next time, this is Ravenhawk6910 signing off.